The jungle heat is suffocating. A helicopter churns through the humid air, its blades a metronome of impending conflict. A young soldier, eyes filled with a mixture of fear and determination, clutches his rifle. We know these images, these echoes of Vietnam, of Iraq. But what about the wars fought in the shadows? The ones where victory was a whisper, a secret handshake between governments. These are the stories of America's hidden conflicts, the ones whispered in hushed tones, if at all. The year is 1899. The world is on the cusp of a new century, filled with both hope and turmoil. The dust of the Spanish-American War had barely settled when a new conflict ignited, one that would shape the future of an entire nation. This time, the battleground was the sun-drenched islands of the Philippines, a place of stunning natural beauty and rich cultural heritage. America, having wrestled control from Spain, found itself facing a new enemy. The Filipino people themselves, yearning for the independence they had tasted so briefly. The promise of freedom had turned into a struggle for survival. Imagine, if you will, the vibrant tapestry of life in the Philippines at the turn of the century. The streets were alive with the sounds of daily life, a symphony of voices and activities. Bustling marketplaces overflowing with exotic goods, where traders and buyers haggled over prices and exchanged stories. Rice paddies stretching as far as the eye could see, a testament to the hard work and resilience of the Filipino farmers. The air thick with the scent of jasmine and the promise of a hard-won peace, a peace that seemed just within reach. But this peace was not to be. The reality of war soon shattered these dreams. American troops, once hailed as liberators, were now viewed with suspicion and resentment, their presence a stark reminder of a colonial past the Filipinos desperately sought to escape. The seeds of resistance were sown. The Philippine-American War, a conflict seldom discussed in American history books, was about to begin. It was a war that would test the limits of human endurance and the will to fight for freedom. From the bloody battles in the rice paddies of Luzon, where every inch of land was fiercely contested, to the guerrilla warfare that raged across the archipelago, with fighters using the dense jungles to their advantage, the Filipinos fought with a ferocity that belied their limited resources. Their determination was unwavering. Their courage, however, was met with brutal force. The American military response was swift and devastating. The Philippine-American War, a conflict sparked by the promise of freedom, had descended into a brutal struggle for control. It left deep scars, both physical and emotional, that would take generations to heal. The early 20th century, a period marked by rapid industrialization and the rise of American influence on a global scale. A time of burgeoning industry, of American might flexing its muscles on the world stage. Factories belched smoke, and naval fleets patrolled the seas, symbols of a nation on the rise. But this expansion, this relentless pursuit of profit and power, would come at a cost, paid for in the blood and turmoil of Central America. The region became a battleground, not just of ideologies, but of economic interests. Imagine the lush landscapes of Nicaragua, Honduras, Haiti, nations teeming with natural resources, ripe for exploitation. These lands, rich in beauty and bounty, became targets for foreign greed. And exploit them they did. American businessmen, with their eyes on the prize, descended upon these nations, eager to extract wealth at any cost. American corporations, driven by the insatiable hunger for profit, set their sights on these vulnerable nations, their eyes on the lucrative banana trade. The banana, a simple fruit, became a symbol of exploitation and control. These were not battles fought on traditional battlefields. They were battles of influence and power, waged in the halls of government and corporate boardrooms. They were waged in the halls of power, in the backrooms of corrupt governments, in the shadow of American warships anchored off distant shores. The presence of these warships was a constant reminder of the might behind the economic interests. These were the Banana Wars, a series of interventions, occupations, and covert operations designed to protect American economic interests at any cost. The term Banana Wars itself evokes the absurdity and tragedy of these conflicts. Picture the stark, satirical lines of political cartoons from the era. Uncle Sam, a hulking giant, casting a long shadow over the diminutive figures of Central American nations. These cartoons captured the essence of the power dynamics at play. The message was clear: this was not a partnership of equals, but a relationship built on coercion and control. The local populations were often left with little choice but to comply. The Banana Wars, though largely forgotten, offer a chilling glimpse into the dark underbelly of American foreign policy. They remind us of the lengths to which a nation will go to protect its economic interests, often at the expense of others. Chapter 3. Saya Hai Laos, Jung Panhani Amerika. The Vietnam War, a conflict etched in the American consciousness, its images seared into our collective memory. But even as the war raged in the jungles of Vietnam, a secret war was being waged in the neighboring nation of Laos. Laos, a landlocked nation known for its ancient temples and tranquil landscapes, became a casualty of a conflict it never sought. The Ho Chi Minh Trail, a vital supply route for the North Vietnamese army, snaked through its remote regions, making it a strategic target for American military planners. Imagine, if you can, the deafening roar of B-52 bombers, their payloads of death raining down on unsuspecting villages. This was a war fought largely from the air, a relentless bombing campaign that transformed the Laotian countryside into a scarred and desolate landscape. The United States, fearing the spread of communism throughout Southeast Asia, poured millions of dollars into arming and training Hmong tribesmen to fight alongside Laotian government forces. The air war over Laos, shrouded in secrecy and deniability, left an enduring legacy of pain and destruction. Chapter 4. Tufan dar Caraïbes, Ishghal Granada. 1983. A year that would mark a significant turning point in the history of the Caribbean. The Cold War was at its peak, a global chess match between superpowers. The world was divided into two camps, each led by a nuclear-armed giant, the United States and the Soviet Union. And in the Caribbean, a tiny island nation would become an unlikely pawn in this high-stakes game. Grenada, with its strategic location, suddenly found itself in the crosshairs of global politics. Grenada, a jewel of the Caribbean, known for its pristine beaches and vibrant culture, found itself thrust onto the world stage when a leftist government came to power. This government, led by Maurice Bishop, sought to align itself with socialist ideals. The United States, fearing the establishment of a communist foothold in the region, responded with overwhelming force. The Reagan administration viewed this as a direct threat to American influence in the Western Hemisphere. Imagine the tension, the uncertainty, as American warships appeared on the horizon. The people of Grenada could only watch and wait, unsure of what the future held. Operation Urgent Fury, as it was dubbed, was a swift and decisive military operation, aimed at deposing the Grenadian government and securing American interests. The operation was meticulously planned and executed with precision. The world watched in astonishment as images of American soldiers storming the beaches of Grenada flashed across television screens. It was a dramatic and unprecedented move that caught many by surprise. Ronald Reagan, in a televised address, justified the invasion as a necessary step to protect American medical students and combat the spread of communism. He portrayed it as a mission of liberation and protection. The invasion of Grenada, though presented as a humanitarian intervention, was met with widespread condemnation from the international community. Many saw it as an act of aggression and a violation of international law. It raised serious questions about American foreign policy and the use of military force in the pursuit of geopolitical objectives. The debate over the legitimacy and consequences of the invasion would continue for years to come. Chapter 5. Sukut Shahin Siyah, Nabard Mogadishu, wa Tagir Cherda Siyaset Khariji Amerika. The early 1990s, the Cold War had ended and a new world order was taking shape. Somalia, ravaged by civil war and famine, became a testing ground for this new era of American interventionism. Imagine the scenes of unimaginable suffering: skeletal children, their bellies distended from hunger, desperate families scavenging for scraps of food. The world watched in horror as Somalia descended into chaos, prompting the United States to lead a UN peacekeeping mission to restore order and deliver humanitarian aid. Operation Restore Hope, as it was known, began with the best of intentions. American soldiers, hailed as saviors, arrived in Mogadishu, the Somali capital, determined to bring an end to the suffering. But as the mission dragged on, it became increasingly mired in the complexities of Somali clan warfare. The Battle of Mogadishu, a harrowing 18-hour firefight that unfolded on the streets of the city, would change the course of American foreign policy forever. The failed intervention in Somalia, and the Battle of Mogadishu in particular, marked a turning point in American foreign policy. Outro. Durshoi no gefte, Boztob Junghoi Penhan. From the jungles of the Philippines to the streets of Mogadishu, these hidden conflicts reveal a pattern of American intervention that often goes unexamined. They challenge the traditional narratives of American history, forcing us to confront the uncomfortable realities of power, empire, and the true costs of war. These wars, waged in the shadows, remind us that the decisions of great powers reverberate far beyond the halls of government. They impact the lives of ordinary people, shaping destinies, leaving scars both visible and unseen. Don't forget to subscribe for more explorations of the hidden corners of history.